Alright, so today we're going to be diving into why Wilt Chamberlain is the best athlete of all time, and specifically the best NBA player of all time. Let's first dive into his physical traits and look at why he's the greatest athlete of all time. You look at his strength. The man can bench 500 pounds. That is the same as J.J. Watt, who is, multi-time All-Pro, multi-time 20-sack season, best defensive lineman, probably one of the best players of the 2010s for sure. Definitely one of the strongest, if not the strongest. He used to lift with Arnold Schwarzenegger when they were in the same movie together, who's Arnold Schwarzenegger obviously is just an absolute tank. And Arnold Schwarzenegger one time said in a interview that Wilt used to pick him up with one hand. Then there's another crazy story, was when he was playing against New York. In New York, at the hotel, a couple of guys asked him to lift some boxes because the elevator couldn't lift them for him. And Wilt picked up those boxes, and somebody asked how much those boxes weighed, and they said 600 pounds worth of boxes, just with ease, they said. Let's look at Wilt's vertical. Michael Jordan has the highest vertical in NBA history with 48 inches, except for Wilt, who they didn't keep track of the exact, but they said 48 inches to 54 inches seemed accurate. When they even looked at his game film, when he could reach the top of the backboard, he used to just, his coach used to have him just swift quarters off the top of the backboard, which is 13 feet tall. So 48 inches to 54 inches, which is the highest in NBA history. That's leaping over 4 feet off the ground. That's just like jumping over a child, like with ease, just completely leaping over him, which is pretty incredible. At 7'1" as well, 7'1" without shoes. So with shoes makes him 7'3". So probably has the greatest vertical in NBA history, probably the strongest player in NBA history. How about let's look at the speed? So he ran a half mile in under 2 minutes. So that in itself is just pretty ridiculous for long distance stamina. He ran a 4.640 shoeless at 7'1". Now another crazy one is he beat at a party Hall of Fame running back, probably the greatest running back of all time, Jim Brown, in a race, who ran a 4.1240. Now another crazy thing was, now that we've finished all those accolades, or not accolades, I guess physical attributes, when Wilt was 16 or 17, he 1v1 the NCAA MVP. I don't remember his name. That's like equivalent to a high school player playing Anthony Edwards right now. And Wilt won 25-10, and he beat the NBA or the future NBA star so badly that no NBA team wanted to sign him because he got destroyed that badly. Another crazy fact about Wilt that's pretty on the down low is when he was 16 or 17, he was so good that he obviously wasn't allowed to play in the NBA, but he was too young. But he went in an undercover name, carried a team to 35-1, and averaged 74 points in the playoffs as a 16-year-old against pros. I'm not joking. Another crazy thing about Wilt is he was so strong that he broke a toe of a player by dunking the ball so hard, and it smacked on a guy's toe and just crushed it, broke it. He also broke a guy's elbow when he was going up for a dunk on Wilt. Wilt just stopped all force, and the player's elbow just shattered. Let's go into the stats now. First of all, had 100 points, obviously is the most known one. Had 55 rebounds on Bill Russell, one of the greatest defensive players ever. In a single season, he averaged 50 points per game, 25 rebounds per game, 4 times as many 50-point games as Jordan, who's in second place, 5 times as many 60-point games as Kobe, who's in second. They only kept track of his block stats for 112 games, which is probably later in his career out of the over 1,000 games he played, and he averaged 8.8 blocks, which I think the league leader is Mark Price, who averages like 5.6, and 8.8 is just ridiculous. Even, it's just incredible. And I'm sure he averaged over 10 is what people have said over, like, at the beginning of his career, like, and he averaged 25, or somebody said he had 25 blocks in one game, which is pretty incredible. You know, maybe Wilt was just a defensive freak and he averaged all this ridiculous amount of points per game. He also led the league in assists at one point. Something else absolutely ridiculous is he never fouled out. In his rookie year, he won MVP. He's just like, let me just enter the league and win Rookie of the Year. That's pretty ridiculous. Like if Chamberlain just goes out and won Rookie of the Year. And after his rookie year, he actually wanted to quit because he said he wasn't having fun because he was getting triple teamed. But he stayed in it for the money. He didn't have a great attitude. And he really didn't try, as stupid as that sounds. And that's why I think he didn't win as many like titles as he could have, because he just did not really try, and he kind of had a bad ego. Probably kind of like the Randy Moss of the NBA. 4-time MVP, multiple finals though. He was so good that he got offers at 45. Something else that is absolutely crazy is he played volleyball after he played basketball and had never played before, and this was in his 40s. He developed the sport at 45 and was so good at volleyball that he made it into the Volleyball Hall of Fame. And he has like the most well-known and best spike in volleyball history at a 45-year-old former basketball player. Something else that people always say, oh, he just, he's so big and he went up against short guys or whatever. That is actually not all that true. The height comparison, the average height of an NBA center in the 1960s and 1970s was 6'10". Okay, the average height of an NBA center now is 6'11". It's 1 inch. People say, oh, height matters so much. There's the world's tallest man was alive, and he could have played in the NBA, and he didn't, because he obviously didn't have the skill. George Mirasan, Sean Bradley, they all were in the NBA in like the 2000s and the 90s or whenever they played, and they couldn't do it. And like even Yao Ming, who's 7'6", could have, he obviously did dominate, but he's not known as one of the GOATs. And you're 7'6". I don't know. I think that's pretty ridiculous. I may have already pointed this out, but Wilt never fouled out. He never fouled out once. That is just insane. I think that's pretty much it, except that Wilt also smashed 20,000 females, he says. I don't know. Wilt is just a freak of nature, absolute robot. There's a clip of him running down the court, and it literally looks like you took it and doubled the speed. It's just ridiculous. He's the greatest scorer of all time. He scored 20,000 points in like under 10 seasons, and he scored like 4,000 points in a season, with second place being Jordan, who averaged like 37 points, and he's still was 1,000 points behind. Greatest rebounder of all time. Pretty sure he leads rebounds of all time, and he didn't even play all that long. He played for like maybe 14 years or something like that. But he averaged 28 in a season, 28 rebounds per game, obviously 55 on Bill Russell. So he's dominant scorer, dominant rebounder, probably one of the best defenders of all time when you're averaging over 10 blocks, and you're going up against guys like Bill Russell, so you can't well, not guys, guy obviously. The rest of the NBA probably was not as competitive, but I don't like to stain Wilt's legacy because of the era he played, and because once again, people at the time were 6'10", the NBA centers. So we've got the pass, or he's one of the best scorers of all time, probably the best scorer if you're scoring all these points, dropped 100. Best rebounder of all time. He is the best shot blocker of all time. He is, well, by score, I mean like post score. He also has a mad shot. He hit 4 corner hooks in a video, corner 3 hooks without even looking, and all of them were swishes too. When you come to athleticism, obviously, if he's the strongest, can jump the highest and the fastest, all in NBA history, the fast one is definitely up for debate. There's a lot of really fast guys in the NBA now. I'm sure can beat Wilt in a race, but if Jim Brown lost to a race, Wilt probably could have beaten everyone. And like even if Wilt played in today's era, he'd still dominate. Like he's just one of those players where if you're stronger, faster, and can jump higher than anyone else, like because like if Bill Russell played today, I don't think he'd be as good. But Wilt, I feel like, still could easily just dominate in today's league. So, you know, his playmaking's out the way. He's a monster shooter, monsters defender, monsters finisher. His stats prove it. His accolades prove it. His athleticism proves it. I just don't know what else you want to look at, because when you look at all the other, like, NBA greats, they have things that stain their legacy. You know, LeBron is, what, 3-4 in the finals or something? No, not 3-4. It's way worse than that, I'm pretty sure. It's something bad, because he lost to the Warriors 3 times, loses to the Spurs, and he lost in the mid-2000s. I think that's it. So I think he's 3-5. And then Jordan was probably not the greatest shooter ever. Obviously, I'm not saying Wilt is all that great of a shooter, because he just didn't shoot that much, but Jordan's shooting ability. Also, when you look at Wilt, he had nobody on his team. When you surround guys like LeBron and Jordan with Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr, Ron Harper for Jordan, and then with LeBron, when you give him Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, you know, it's obviously you have that expectation to win. I don't know. Wilt Chamberlain, greatest NBA player of all time. I think the facts speak for itself if you are comparing him to LeBron or Jordan. I think, you know, obviously he's better than, I think Kareem and Russell are also out of the picture. I'd like to hear arguments for anybody, and I'd respect an argument if you put Jordan, Russell, Kareem, or James up there. And, you know, Wilt's just, wow.